Hey everybody, you know what time it is. It is Sipping with Sue time. I am Szu-Moy, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, chatting with real people doing real things extraordinarily. And if you haven't gone over to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell to get all of the latest content as soon as it is uploaded. We are at the end of another week, you guys, and can you believe it? It'll be Halloween in just a few days, so I'm a little bit Halloween decked out for you guys, which, I don't do this often, but hey, it's a have a good fright. There you go. It's my Jack, and I've got my Jack earrings in, but cheers. To the weekend. Cheers, everybody. Spooky season again is in full swing, but there's nothing scary about my guest tonight. She is a dedicated servant of the education system for the last 25 years. I made a boo-boo, you guys, not 30, but 25 years, and one of my Connecticut High School alumni. Please welcome Felicia Grunski. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yep, I've got some really yummy kombucha because she's got Moscato. I've got kombucha only because I didn't want to open up a bottle of, I didn't want to open up a whole bottle because you know what happens when you open up a whole bottle?
You have to drink it.
Yeah, exactly. You drink the whole freaking thing. So I was like, I am not doing that. I'm gonna go ahead and have some kombucha. It's fine. We'll work with that. But anyway, TGIF, how are you doing?
I am good, tired after another long week, but doing well.
Yes, yeah, and we've been junior high, high school. Was it elementary or was it junior high?
Well, you have to go back to track and the Golden Girls days. And
Yeah, so
so,
that
yes,
was,
probably elementary,
damn it, elementary. Sheesh, elementary school
a long
to junior
time, and then
high
through
to
middle
high
school
school.
and high school.
Yes, and then now I get to see you. Yay! So excited. I missed the 30-year high school reunion, only because I had meet and greet and concert tickets that I couldn't pass up. So
We did
anyway,
miss
that's
you.
anyhow. Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself so that folks can get acquainted with you?
Sure. So I've been a teacher, like you said, for 25 years. I live with my husband. I have two daughters. My older daughter, Rebecca, just graduated college in May, so she's back home with us. But my younger daughter is a freshman in California at a university there. And I have a cat, so he keeps me plenty busy and a lot of company while I'm here. And yeah, our life is good. Things are going well, and everything's good.
Awesome. So tell me what prompted you to become a teacher 25 years ago. Was it our fantastic elementary, junior high, and high school teachers and mentors?
Well, I would love to give you that great story of I had this, phenomenal teacher who was an inspiration. But so
Hmm.
when I actually never thought about being a teacher. It was never something that crossed my mind. I never really found that I had great connections with my teachers when I was in elementary school. Definitely more so in high school, but not really necessarily when I was younger. So I went into college as a business major. I was an international business and finance major, and I also double majored in languages. So I took French and Spanish. And I had this idea that I was going to travel the world and I was going to be this really successful businesswoman and I was going to see all these different countries. And so when I was a junior in college, I did an internship down on Wall Street at one of the major banks down there. And I was so excited. I had my suit ready, a little briefcase. And I remember taking the subway down and working there. And after maybe a week's time, I just did not like it. It was not for me. I didn't like being cooped up in an office, and just that short amount of time, I really felt like I was getting no fulfillment out of it. And I started to really think about what I wanted to do with my life. And I did have an aunt who was a teacher, and I've always enjoyed working with kids, whether it was babysitting or working at a summer camp. And so I made the decision that I was going to go back to school after graduating college and I would do a different program. So I wound up dropping like part of my majors that I had. And I went back after I graduated to another program where I was able to get my master's degree and get certified in teaching. And so that's kind of how I got into it. It was more like doing this internship, which was a curse, but a blessing at the same time, right? So it was terrible
Mhm.
because I hated it. I used to hide out in the file room because I didn't want to do any of the things that they were asking me to do. I remember looking out the windows down on Wall Street and seeing all these people coming and going, and I felt like I was just stuck in this cubicle alone, like with nobody to talk to. And so I realized from that experience that this was just not for me. So better to have done it then than to have gotten into the business world and then realized
Mhm.
afterwards that I didn't like it.
Yeah, and then that's huge that you were able to at least see that early on because there's so many of us that go through, I say us, but like so many people that go through their entire career and they're just like, I need a career change, I need this, that, and the other. And then they've already invested so much of their life into something that makes you not so happy. Sometimes we can say miserable, right? And then that bleeds off into everything else. Because I mean, work life home balance, all of those things like play a key part in that. So yeah.
I do find a lot
Yeah.
of the teachers that I work with, this is their second career. And they discovered that after working somewhere else and realizing this isn't
Not for
making me
me.
happy. I think
Yeah.
most people who stick with teaching are happy people. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
it's very hard, and we'll get into that, but we're happy for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. So you've been an educator for 25, not 30 years. Sorry, guys.
25 years.
25 years. Yes, congratulations. But you'll be
Thank you.
retiring in just a few years, which will be at your 31st. But so children are our future, and you play a huge role in molding our next generation, something that shouldn't be taken lightly by anybody. I feel because not just, I mean, we come from somewhere, and we've come up through some kind of teacher or mentor type of situation. So it's you play a key and a huge role. So how does that feel to
Thank
be
you.
such a major influence in those kids' lives?
So I think I speak for most teachers when I say that it's not something that we really think about. Like, I don't think that we put ourselves in that. And I feel like for me personally, um, my job gives me a lot of enjoyment, and I just want to do right by the kids. I want to teach them. I want to make them happy. I want them to feel safe and protected. So it's not necessarily that I feel like I'm a mentor to them, but it is always rewarding when you have former students that will come back and tell you how you influenced them in some way. Will tell you things that you've said that really stuck with them, which you didn't even realize that you said or made that was going to make any kind of an impact. So I feel like we don't really look at ourselves as a mentor like that. We just feel like we come in and we want to do right by them. We just want to do what's best for them.
Yeah, I feel like that's a silent servant. I feel like that
It
that really is.
definitely
Yeah, it's
can
like a
be.
silent servant. Yeah, a silent servant. And I feel even more so like today, it's even more challenging to be a teacher and
Whew.
instructor, especially in the schools when you're seeing so many things happen in the schools and the different training or lack of training potentially that you guys have. So, what are some of the changes that you've seen over the years?
Oh, when is it not changing? That's what we always say. When is it not changing? So, in education, there's this pendulum, right? So it's always going from one end to the other. And things seem to come in waves. It might last 5, 7, 10 years, and then suddenly there's new research or a new idea, or they realize something, and they change things. So that has been tough. COVID was very hard. The adjustment of doing the virtual, the online, the hybrid, the mix of everything, that is definitely tough. Um, Teachers are expected to juggle multiple hats all at the same time, right? Especially in the elementary level where we're teaching every single subject. It's not just like in high school where you're a social studies or you're a math teacher and you have that content that you have to learn. So in elementary school, which is where I am, they have all of these different areas of academics that you need to teach. And so it's a constant juggle of being able to do each area to the best of your ability, um, and keep up with what the administration is asking of you and what's expected.
Yeah, I can't imagine me personally being a subject matter expert in all of the five. It's five still core subjects, right? That
So
elementary school is teaching. Okay, so no, maybe not.
we're always teaching the basics: reading,
Right.
writing, math,
Hmm. Hmm.
science, social studies, and then there's could be like a phonics or a spelling component, the SEL, which is the social emotional learning component that we're expected to utilize within the classroom. So there's all of that in this what really is a very shortened day, when by the time the kids come in and settle in and they have a special and they have lunch and there's transition time and all this, and it's really not a lot of time to be able to get to all of these things and really to get to it efficiently and effectively. So that is a definite challenge.
Oh my goodness. So what about so it's very different from when we were growing up and in school, clearly,
Very,
very different.
very.
Um, how do you craft some of the tough subjects and the things that we're dealing with today? And in that, I mean, again, I can't imagine being a teacher today with so many different, very like your heart pulls for these things that are going on with shootings and all that stuff. How do you
Absolutely.
craft, yeah, how do you deal with some of those tough subjects with your students?
So there is, I guess there would be, just the gentle way of trying to make the kids feel comforted and comfortable and making them feel safe. So in schools, we've always practiced fire drills, and so now it's adding in these active shooter drills or a lockout drill, or a lockdown drill where we have to make sure that nobody's coming into the building. And so with the little ones, it's like I said, just a matter of making them feel safe and letting them know, I'm here to protect you, that's my job, I will do whatever I can to keep you safe, and we do this just to practice. Oftentimes, like when something does happen in the world and then eventually they do start to get wind of it and they might start to ask questions, it's hard to not answer truthfully, but you don't really want to answer truthfully at the same time. So it's just a matter of making sure that you're using the right words, utilizing books to read to them in the classroom, um, getting them to, maybe write a little bit and have like a safe spot for them to be able to write you a note and put that in a jar or a bucket where you can then go to later. And letting them know that it's okay to come to you and to talk to you about these things. So it is, things have like definitely changed. I do feel for high school teachers that probably have a lot more of these things that they're dealing with as opposed to what I'm dealing with on a second grade level. So that must be difficult for those teachers as well.
Right. I know that they have, high schoolers definitely have a lot more of the bullying that happens, cyberbullying, but I'm sure that still happens because you guys are still online and doing things. Even at that level, it's crazy how some of these kids have phones and they're doing all this stuff. Like my son didn't have a phone till he was, I want to say 16.
Yep.
I want to say
Oh,
16.
we have first graders and second graders coming in with them. So yeah, and
Right.
a lot of like the online gaming.
Hmm.
Right? So we do a lot of different, programs with them that will people will come in, the guidance department will come in, or the social workers, and they'll speak to the kids and they will do lessons on things like cyberbullying, understanding like how to internet safety, things like that. As a matter of fact, my kids were just in the library today and the librarian did a whole lesson on internet safety with them. So we do try to cover those things, but again, it's so many things to cover. It's like, how do you cover all of the academics and then cover all of these other real world issues that are going on at the same time?
Yeah,
And then letting them just be kids.
right, because there's that too, and that
Right.
was one of the things that my son and I were talking about, with the different cultures. And so he's like, because my son is in Germany right now, and he was like, yeah, so German kids, he's like, I remember they used to get off at 2 p.m. And he's like, so they get off at 2 p.m. and they have time to do their homework, and then they have time to play and just be a kid. He's like, and this was like higher level education and stuff like that, I'm assuming. But they had time, and he's like, I feel like we were from the start to the finish of school, we were doing something, 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 and then I got home and I had all this homework to do, and he's like, I
Absolutely.
never had time to just like relax.
Right?
And I'm
Because
like,
everything is so structured, and so the kids go from being in school where everything is, we watch the clock all day long. I have X amount of
mhm,
time to do this before they have to leave, and then I need to go pick them up, and then they come back, and then I have this, and then they come home, and a lot of times they're so they are stuck to the clock at home also. Quick, come
mhm.
home, drop your things, we need to go to a sport or religion or wherever it is that we're going, and then they come home, and then it's the mad rush of dinner and hurry up
Dinner
and do
and
your
yeah.
homework. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's hard. And then when you think about a child in school, like my students are 7. They're 7, that's still a baby. And they
Mhm.
want to be able to play, and they need that time. And so we try to incorporate, fun times into learning and play into learning as well. And and you do have to remember that they are still kids. They are still kids as
Mhm.
much as we want to teach them, and we have all of this curriculum that needs to be taught. That's
They need
important
that
in my
time
opinion.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I agree, like 100%, because I feel like we had a lot more time to kind of do those extracurricular things and still go home and play and still go home and like relax. And I felt like my son, when he was growing up, didn't have that.
No,
Like I agree with him when we had that conversation. It was like, no, I kind of agree with you. But then you still have to have that structure because you got to do it all over again the next
exactly.
day.
Exactly.
So it's like, oh, when does it end? Okay, so what is something that you'd like parents to do more often?
Talk to their kids about asking open-ended questions. So I always tell my parents at meet the teacher night, I know that your kid comes home from school and you say, "What did you do in school today?" And they tell you nothing. And you say, "What did you learn today?" And they say nothing. Or how was school? Fine. So asking more open-ended questions to your students, like, so what was your favorite thing that you did today? Or tell me who you played with at recess, or what game did you play at recess today? And that really allows students and parents, or children and parents, to open up those lines of communication. And then I feel that kids really start to talk about it a little bit more, and they get excited about learning. I also ask my parents, like, everything that comes home on Friday, take it out of the folder and talk about it with your child. Ask them, tell me about this, read me this story. Again, it's just that hectic life that we all seem to lead, where the kids come home and it's like, hurry up, what's for homework, take this out, put this in a pile,
Mhm.
and then that pile like winds up going in the garbage. Or and I'm guilty of it too, even with my own students in my class. They want to talk, they want to tell me something, and I feel sometimes I say, all right, you can tell me later, not right now, there's no time right now. And
Mhm.
so I do try to give them that opportunity, but that would be, I don't expect parents, and I tell them this, I don't expect you to teach anything to your child at home, but talk to them, get
Mhm.
them to open up to you, and they'll be excited about school. Let them be excited and tell you what they did.
Mhm. That's awesome. So for 25 years, if you can scrunch it up
25.
into, yes, 25, not 30, you guys. I know. I don't know where I got
Uh,
the 30 from. I was
oh,
like
I just can't believe it's
accelerate.
been 25.
Yeah. I think I was accelerating your retirement. But anyway, um, if you could like ball up 25 years into like one single event or thing that you would want to tell folks or just remember as your like little memory, what would it be?
Oh, well, a memory I could share with you. The funniest thing that ever happened was I had, so kids. I another thing I often say to the parents is, I won't believe everything that your child tells me happens at home if you don't believe everything that your child tells you happens in school. So I have had kids that have said, very strange off the wall stories, but the best story was, I had a student in kindergarten many, many years ago when I had first started, who brought into school. a pair of underwear and a bra from his home and had it in his book bag and, proceeded to like very like nonchalantly take it out and show his friends in the classroom. And so that always became, a good laugh. Like down the line, years later, we'd say, "Oh, remember when, so and so brought in the underwear and the bra to show everybody?" So that was always one of my favorite stories, because, like they say, kids do say and do the darndest things. Um,
They do.
yes, absolutely. So, it's just I hope that people realize that teachers are teachers go into this job because they truly love kids. And as hard as it is, at the end of the day, we all are really just trying to do what's best for these kids. We're trying to make them into just better humans, more successful people, give them these tools to be able to go out and, to be productive members of society. And so that's really what I would want people to know about us, is that we have all this love in our heart to give, and we do try our best.
Yes, and clearly it shows because I saw all your letters and
Oh
all
yeah,
your,
thank you.
students saying how much that they love you and they're thanking you, and the parents, I am sure, thank you as well. And I thank you
Well,
because again, teachers are like so integral to
I was going to
this
say, my
ecosystem.
little friend from last year did ask me about you, and he said, "Are
Oh.
your students going to write letters to that veteran again?" So, yes. So, and
Yeah,
that's another
that would
thing,
be
like
amazing.
getting them to see and to understand that all of these people that are in our world are important members of our, society, even people that they
Mhm.
might not know, and having them reach out and write those letters to you, that was heartwarming to me, to be able to
Oh, that
bring
was
back some from
so
my
awesome.
childhood.
Yes, that was so awesome. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to respond. I need to be able to to tell them like it's so awesome what, all the questions that he had, and I wanted to be able to answer them." So that was so fantastic. So yes, if you guys are doing that again this year, I'm looking forward to being you guys' veteran that you send letters
Yes.
to and have questions to, and I have answers for all of them. So that's fantastic. So thank you so much. But again, thank you so much, and congratulations again on 25 years of dedicated
Thank you for
educator
having me.
service. Yes. Is there
Thank
anything
you.
else
Thank
you'd
you.
like to add?
No, I'm good, but I appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak. I was definitely nervous, but you settled my nerves and made me at
It's
ease, and
easy. It's
it
easy. I
is
tell
easy.
everybody I'm not going to bite you through the screen.
I could sit and speak in front of a class of students all day long. I've taught every grade up to, in
Mhm.
elementary school from kindergarten to fifth, and I have no
Mhm.
problem with that. But as soon as I have to speak in front of adults, I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Well,
I
that's
could
the
do 30
same.
kids, but
Yeah, I mean, I can't do 30 kids. I mean, I used to teach girls on the run way back when, and we had it over here because our elementary school is right over here. And yeah, 10 third through fifth grade girls scared the crap out of me because I walked in the door and I was like, I don't know what to do with these. I mean, I know I'm a female, but I was like, I have a boy. Like, I don't even know what to
right,
do with these
right.
girls. I
I'm a
was
boy
like,
mom.
oh, yeah.
I'm a
I
boy
was like,
mom.
yep, had no idea. It was, yeah, it was fun, but we had a good time. So it was fantastic. But thank you so much. So
Thank
before I
you,
let you
Szu-Moy.
go, I like to do just for fun speed rounds with all of my guests. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. So we did the funniest thing a student ever said or ever did. So what is the funniest thing a student ever said?
Oh, I had a student not that long ago told me that when I said to them, "What? Why were you gone so long in the bathroom?" and they told me I was constipated.
Second grade.
Second
Second
grade,
grade.
right? And it's
Awesome.
always funny when they'll say things, and you know that they're imitating you and they're speaking like, I
Hmm.
just yesterday had a girl in the line that said, and I knew that she wasn't like making fun, but she was mimicking me. And two boys were like arguing over which spot they were in, and she turned and, she said, "Oh, you need to stop arguing and use your words."
And you're like, okay,
Yes,
thanks.
but the constipation thing was, I was like, well, I guess it serves me right for asking.
That is amazing. Okay, pencils, pens, markers, or crayons?
Uh, all for different purposes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
What is the one thing that you do to relax after a long, hectic, crazy day with a whole bunch of second graders?
I go on Facebook and I don't want to talk to anybody. Nobody. Don't talk to me. Like my husband will try. I'm like, I make 1,000 decisions all day long and I
Mhm.
have my name called 150 times a day. Don't talk to me. I just need that like quietness. So I just kind of aimlessly browse on my phone on Facebook.
Nice way to decompress. That's all good.
That's it.
All right. So, a favorite memory you have of a student, students, or a class?
I would have to say my very first class teaching, when I taught kindergarten. It was in the Bronx, and it was that was 25 years ago, and I could still probably remember every single name of those students. It's just something special about your very first class that sticks with you, and you don't forget them. I can actually, even in my mind, like hear the sound of their voice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You are so
Yep.
good because I forget my own name like half the time. So,
Well, a lot of students that I have last year, they'll come to me, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, you're so big. What grade are you in now?" And they're like, third. You had me last year." I'm like, "Well, I can't remember, but I can remember from 25 years ago." So,
gotcha. Gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank
yeah.
you again so much. It was so good catching up with you. And for
Yes, you
everybody
as
else,
well.
cheers. Again, with my kombucha.
Thank you.
Cheers, you guys. Happy Halloween. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.